All right, so what I wanted to just go over today is self-care as a teacher. And I know this is probably not really necessary for you because you are both mature and have been through a lot of life already, especially you, Manny. And I know that you're very good at self-care, Kyla. But I just wanted to make sure that I covered and shared a little bit of my experience and what I've learned from teaching a lot of classes during the week. And this isn't necessarily relevant to you because you may not teach like I have taught, but I still want to share some of the things that I've learned because even if you don't teach a lot, just by virtue of having to come to the teaching space from something else, whether it's your school job or your business or your family, it's just really helpful to know that you have to kind of prepare yourself, or I recommend that you prepare yourself mentally when you step into the teacher role.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
my doctor will disagree with you when it comes to taking care of myself.
Oh, you don't take care
I
of
have,
yourself?
I have quite I have a very high sugar lately.
Do you eat a lot of sugar?
I eat a lot of rice. You know, Filipinos, we love
Oh,
rice.
I know. It's true.
So I
True.
was told to really reduce my rice intake.
Is
So
that right? Or increase your protein intake and
I
reduce
don't really
rice?
like eating meat. I don't I don't eat meat. I'm more plant based. That's why I compensate it with a lot of rice. I have to
Oh.
do something about my diet.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to explore. Maybe some other protein options that you can supplement in your diet, beans
Mhm.
or legumes or something, so that you feel satiated. You need to feel satiated so that you don't.
But you know, I have beans. I have a lot of those
Mm.
protein based plant based like asparagus or the broccoli. But I still love rice.
Oh,
Philippine. That's why I have to limit it to just less than a cup
okay.
per meal. Yeah. Anyway, I'm doing something about it. But when
Okay,
you say
good.
about taking care of ourselves, my doctor will say,
You
not
need to
now,
do
money.
better. So that's one of the things is nutrition. Right.
Mhm.
So whenever I'm going to go teach a class, I'm always aware, have I had something to eat or have I had enough to eat? So I teach morning classes, so that's not as much of an issue at 7 in the morning. But when I go from a 7 in the morning class to a 9 or 9:30 class, I only have an hour in between. And so if I'm busy, with that hour between and I don't have a chance to really sit down and eat breakfast, I have to be aware of that and maybe grab a banana or have a smoothie or get a handful of nuts or something. So it's really good to have your um, pantry, your kitchen, stocked with some healthy options that will keep you sustained. I really like um, trail mixes like with nuts and dried fruit. I like to have those on hand or just fruit. And then we know after I'm teaching that 9 or 9:30 class, then I'll make sure to eat if I hadn't had time to have a real meal. So nutrition is one. Of course, getting enough liquids is another. I encourage you not to rely on caffeine to fuel yourself or to juice yourself. Um, we know that's not really the best way. It's handy and it's part of our culture, but don't rely just on that for your energy. Make sure that you're also having nutritious sources of energy. And so nutrition is one, rest. Be aware if you're lacking sleep one particular week, and you're going into a class, just be aware of that and know, okay, this might affect how I feel. This might affect my energy level. And just start with being aware. We can't control everything in our life. Sometimes there's going to be weeks where you're going to lose sleep. Like, I don't know how you did with grading last week, Kyla, if you had to lose sleep over that. I mean, that happens, right? But you were resilient. We're most of the time resilient, but just be aware that you have to kind of take care of yourself and catch up on that sleep when you need to, or just know that it might affect how you're feeling when you're teaching, if you're going into a teaching situation. And then, so sleep, nutrition, rest, movement for you, of course. So, as a teacher, be aware that you might be demoing, but not necessarily, doesn't necessarily mean you're having a balanced practice. So, for example, you might demo one side. I just saw him peek over. You might demo on one side and not do those poses on the other side, right? Because you have to go and adjust people, or you have to go and correct someone. So practicing for yourself hopefully is something that you can accommodate in your life as well. And I am totally not very good at that. I admit. Uh, I I try to practice for myself every now and then, but with my schedule right now, it's not very easy. But I do try to be aware of any tightness that may be developing in my body, any imbalances, and I try to address those. And I do get some kind of self-care. I'll get a massage every few months. Um, yeah, so be aware of your body and how demoing is affecting. And also, like early in my teaching, when I would often um, demo triangle pose without having done any other prep for it. And so I noticed that was having pain in my inner knee, and I I was able to figure it out. So I always incorporate hip opening before triangle now. That's something I kind of learned in my own body. And almost always, I mean, the students aren't doing it as much as I am. I may demo triangle 2 to 3 times a day without any prep for it. So I had to be more aware of how that was affecting my body. Also had some lower back things because I realized I was demoing camel pose without appropriately warming up. So just be aware of that in your own body and be mindful of that. Then, how do you prep yourself mentally as you're approaching a class? Like, so for example, maybe you can share with me what you do. So, Manny, what you do, and Kyla, since you're teaching children, what do you do to prep yourself before you go into that classroom of children? What do you can share?
Well, I try to make sure I have food. Definitely that helps. Um, I know, if I'm not, because sometimes I've done some styles of fasting before, and I fasted throughout the school day before, and as long as I'm prepared to do that, then I'm okay. But if I know it's a regular day and now I'm on like a regular eating schedule, but in the past when I was planning on not eating, I would be okay with that. But now I have to have breakfast. I have to make sure I'm drinking enough water. Like today, I didn't finish my normal water. And by the end of the day, I was like, oh, my head hurts a little. And they feel extra loud.
Mm,
And I picked up my water cup and I was like, I didn't drink all of my water.
mm,
I barely drank all of my water.
mhm,
So, definitely making sure I'm drinking enough water. I eat breakfast every morning.
mhm,
Um, if I didn't have a good night's rest, I can, definitely feel it the next day. Like sometimes Mondays feel a little hard for me because I usually my sleep on Sunday nights can be a little off because on the weekend I have totally different sleep schedule. I'm up super late and I wake up late and you know,
activities, yeah.
on Sunday I have to like switch it back to waking up at like 6:30 or
Mhm,
5:30 if I'm trying to go to the gym in the morning. So
mm,
um that Oh, I could feel the difference though when I got a making sure my sleep's been really good lately. I've been sleeping 8 hours every night. Um, been putting myself to bed early
That's
so
good.
that I get good sleep. No matter if I have to wake up at 5:30 or 6:30, I'm still getting like 8 hours. Sometimes I'm getting almost 9, which is good. But making sleep more important because I do remember at one point I was sleeping like 6. I wasn't feeling well at the time, so that contributed to it. But I was sleeping like maybe 6 hours a night, sometimes 5.5.
Mhm.
And work definitely just felt extra hard.
Yeah. Now you
Um,
can have your full capacity.
yeah, so sleeping, eating, drinking my water. What else? That's like direct to the day, like starting the day. But I mean, outside of that, I do other stuff too, like like taking care of myself outside of directly preparing for the school day. I still, do the other stuff too, like
Mhm.
making sure my night routine, I'm cleaning off myself and
Mhm.
normal,
Right,
regular.
normal stuff.
Yeah, having like trying to fit in a little leisure
Hmm.
to which doesn't feel like I have much leisure time at all right now. But trying to fit it in
Mhm.
helps. So I mostly throw all of that to the weekend. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. How about you, Mandy? Like, let's say you're going to go teach your chair yoga class. Do you do anything in particular before? What's your mindset before you go into that class?
Uh, in every class, I always prepare a lesson plan.
Uh-huh.
In all my classes, I never go there empty-handed. I have to have a plan based on the profile I have for my students. So
Mhm.
depending on the composition of the student, I prepare the plan. And then I make sure because that the discipline of teaching is not only it's not only now that I have that because I've been teaching before,
Mhm.
not the yoga, but other stuff. So
Right.
so the discipline is there already. Like sleeping, get a good sleep,
Mhm.
waking up early, and because whatever mood you are in, or whatever physical or mental health you are in at the time of your training, it will affect the students whether you like it or not, or whether you intend to or not.
Mhm.
So you want to make them, you don't want to transfer to them whatever tensions or whatever. So you try to calm yourself down. I even meditate before when I wake up so that to prepare myself to that
Right.
situation. So your demeanor when you're in front of them, it will affect them. You look so positive, you smile, you laugh,
Yeah.
crack jokes once in a while with them. And then sometimes don't take yourself so seriously when they're having a hard time. So I will approach them, stuff like that. So yeah, I think my training before, so I took up this teacher or what, I already have that before.
That's great.
I have that.
So let's talk about what you had mentioned last time as far as when you did the meditation workshop or class, and then you
Yeah,
had a lot of um, output to
feedback.
come from the students.
Takeaway. Yeah, the
Yeah.
takeaways are sometimes very serious. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you handle that? I feel like that is also something that you need to think about self-care about. Like how can you hear so much of, when they're starting to unload on you, which makes sense because they trust you. It's a good thing because it demonstrates that you have earned their trust. So they can share something personal, something. And that happens to me too, often. That, and in fact, several times, even just last week, they started in this new place that I've started teaching for a month. They're starting to share things, and they said, "I don't know why I'm telling you this." A couple of them said that, "I don't know why I'm telling you this, all of this." So because you've created that environment of safety, which is a good thing. So that's something that you need to think about and acknowledge and appreciate, but also, you need to also be able to manage the room and manage what is going on with them, but also how it's going to affect you. So if you're feeling like it's starting to be much for you, have some ways to redirect. And you can start to think of that in the moment. You can be aware. So here's awareness. You're gonna recognize, okay, this person is sharing something very intimate. I have to respect and honor that they are, and hold that trust that they are exhibiting towards me. But also, there's other people in the room, and also there's how it's going to affect me. So what I found helpful is, you find the positive. So if they're sharing something really deep, and maybe it's just, oh, I'm sorry that happened to you. Just acknowledging, and then kind of guiding. So you have to be aware that that's also going to affect the rest of the people. And then you're going to maybe try to guide the vibes, if you will, towards peace, towards compassion, towards understanding, towards hope. Somehow you have to find the positive without dismissing something that they shared. And that's kind of hard to teach. That's something that will come from your own wisdom, from your own dealing with your own things in your life and what you've learned in your own growth. So something to think about. But do know that in the teacher seat, you do have a role to play in those kinds of situations, and then just try to figure out how to do that the best way possible, right?
With me, Amy, I listen to them, maybe sympathize with them or empathize with them. But towards the end of the day, towards the end of the discussion, I will just tell them, yoga is a good tool for you to handle those problems. I do not know how you can cope with it. I do not know but yoga can help you cope with it, because the practice itself is practices about gratitude, contentment, and all those values will help you deal with whatever issues you're facing.
Yeah,
Just
and
don't forget, yoga
then
is only a tool of life,
so
So
now
that's
you're
what
keeping it. You're
I'm
keeping
not a psychologist to give them prescriptions or something
right.
like that.
So now you're
Yeah,
keeping it in the yoga discussion, because
of
it is a
course. I
yoga
will.
class.
That's my competence. So I
Yeah,
have to bring it. I have to bring it
that
to.
makes total sense, because it is a yoga class. So you can keep it in that
Yeah.
mindset.
When
That
it comes to those things, Amy, I know how to pivot.
Mhm.
I do not want to put myself in a tight situation where
Yeah.
my incompetence or insensitivity will come out.
Oh,
Because all these problems are, they're not poor people, they're rich people. To me, those problems are trivial compared to the problems I've heard from the laborers, from farmers, fishermen, because those are the people I really deal with before.
mm,
And most of their problems are trivial in nature. To me, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, I hear you.
So what I do is pivot
Hmm.
to yoga as a tool, a
Hmm.
powerful tool. So keep on practicing.
There you go.
Uh,
Good. Okay, so let's see, what else did I want to talk to you about? I wanted to go over the policies of Yoga Alliance. And I haven't shared these with you yet, but there are some policies that are, so this is kind of long, but
Can
this
you enlarge it
covers,
somewhere? Can you enlarge the form, or you're going to send it to us?
I'm going to send it to you, but I just
Yeah.
want to show them to you right now, because it's going to be a lot of reading, and I want to
Yeah.
just I just want to,
Essentially, what are the key points there?
yeah, I'm just going to give you the main, so this is harassment,
Oh,
is about protected groups of people. Like there's not to be any harassment based on age, gender, race, ethnicity, culture, national origin, religion, sexual orientation, disability, socioeconomic status, genetic information, or any other basis prescribed by law. So this is, I know this is a American thing. I don't know if this is something that,
yeah. Some of them will apply except the race.
right.
Yeah,
So then,
ethnicity. We also have that attitude here in the Philippines. If
and I
you're from
know,
Luzon, you look down on people in the south.
yeah, and some, maybe a little bit of the socioeconomic status too, I think.
Yes, mostly it's also economic here.
Yeah. So that's something that maybe you can include that in your teaching, is to, I don't know, not without being very specific about it, something you can encourage more, more, a less judgy attitude, or a more inclusive.
I hope I can get that type of socio-economic status. The one, if you profile the Philippine socio-economic society, 80% of our population as a whole in the entire country cannot afford yoga,
Yeah.
yoga prices. So
Yeah.
of the 20% remaining, some of them are too busy
Mhm.
or not interested. So at the most, you can only influence maybe 5% of the population. So you're
Mm.
talking here about 5 million Filipinos. And then how many of them live in Manila? So about 2 to 3 million in Manila, in Metro Manila area. So it's a very small population.
Interesting.
Yeah, and now in the country, I want to know my market, and I am having a hard time because many gyms here also offer yoga classes as part of their
Yeah, you talked about
subscription,
that. Yeah.
and also a lot of yoga teachers who are enterprising enough, they open up yoga studio in garage, in their own garage, small area.
Hmm.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
good
good.
thing. I
Yeah,
actually
it's a good.
like that idea of neighborhood yoga. Or here we have people that will start gyms in their garages,
Mhm.
and it's good because people can get there easily. They get to know their neighbors,
Mhm.
and it's a nice home business. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, open up one yourself.
So sexual harassment is part of this discussion. I don't think I need to explain that, but that's should not be allowed. Sexual misconduct,
Yeah.
verbal harassment of the
When you
sexual.
say sexual misconduct,
Yeah.
it's student to student, teacher to student, isn't it? That's what you mean.
Any, yeah. This one's talking about teachers.
Yes.
Teachers may not use suggestive language, including sexual jokes and degrading comments, gestures, movements, or images in their classes, in their studios, or on their websites, or in their social media platform. Avoid making comments about students' appearance that could be perceived as sexually oriented or suggesting an attraction. So, like, don't hit on your students, basically. That
Oh,
kind
sometimes I compliment them that, oh, you've been losing weight, huh? Oh, is it
of.
sexual misconduct?
Kyle.
Ah, because
That's
I
a
noticed
Filip-
that,
that's a Filipino thing.
yeah, it's not to us, it's not to you maybe it's a misconduct, but here is a
It's
compliment,
not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Kyle.
Ah,
It's cultural, right? Yeah.
yeah. And then your hair is nice. You look better in that hair. Those are very Filipino.
Yeah, that's
And in the state, that's a sexual misconduct already.
well, it's kind of borderline. Look right here. Teachers should avoid making comments that idealize or assume a specific body type or image.
Oh, no, you're not just complimenting him for the haircut. You know,
Yeah.
did you? give some tip to your hairdresser?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if it doesn't go off badly, it's okay. You know your population, so
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, verbal harassment. So I think that's pretty straightforward. Nonverbal harassment, like blocking a person's path or giving unwelcome personal gifts, displaying sexual suggestive materials. This is really like unpleasant stuff, but I guess it happens, so it's important to know that that's not allowed. Physical harassment, unwanted touching, etc. And here's so they have different templates in Yoga Alliance, and I kind of choose what I feel comfortable with. So, as far as my school, this is what I've followed. That teachers shall avoid getting into a personal or sexual relationship with students that may impair their professional judgment or compromise the integrity of their teaching. If a relationship begins to develop, the teacher should bring it to the school management, and then the school management will kind of decide. And it also depends, well, were they already involved before they became teacher student, or is the studio going to bless this relationship, or is it not? So it's
If
kind of a
if both of you, whether student or teacher, are unattached or no partners, to me it's just okay.
it's
It's a
okay.
natural thing. But if you one is married,
Mhm.
that's another thing. Having an affair.
So then, yeah, so then that's up to your discretion, right? So it says right here, if a romantic attraction does begin to develop with a student, teachers should seek guidance from school management before acting on the attraction. The school management will then decide how it wishes to handle the relationship. For
Ah,
example, it may bless the relationship, but establish boundaries to
that's
prevent
too much.
conflicts of interest.
That's too much intervention. As far as I'm concerned, that's too much intervention.
Okay. Well, okay.
Can only intervene if there is a possible, repercussion to
So
that
what's this
relationship.
what's this saying is, if you feel like you're starting to have an attraction to a student as the teacher, or we'll talk about it as if we were teachers, you talk to the management. Well, in your case, it's you.
No, but they are both single, no unattached. You don't have to tell me that.
Okay,
If one is attached, then I forbid that. It's only as simple as that. I want rules that are simple to understand.
that's what
Those
you.
things you have so many colatillas that is subject to a lot of interpretation.
Okay, well then that's what you would put in your school or your studio.
Yeah, but in
That
your
was
in the alliance policy, there are
no.
so many ifs
This
or buts or however it
no.
only
Listen,
matters.
listen. This is what I chose. What I said
Oh,
at the beginning. Yoga
yeah.
Alliance gives templates.
Ah,
And I chose this one. This is the
oh,
one that I feel
oh.
comfortable with. Yeah. So you can make up your own, and they even tell me that you can make up your own policy.
To me, I'll send you my code of conduct, which
Oh, you
I
have
ask my
one.
teachers. Yeah, it's
Oh,
only
cool.
based on ahimsa. Everything is based on ahimsa, non-harming.
Okay.
So that's the basic, the foundation of that code of conduct that I have. I make them sign.
Oh, good. The teachers, yeah. Okay, and then the attendance policy, basically I encourage 100% attendance in the training. And if you can't do 100%, then we have to make up the time, that's basically it. That's simple. Here's a code of conduct. This one's a little more complicated because it involves uh, how to handle it when things go wrong. Oh no, that's not that one. That's a different one. So I'm gonna send all these to you because it's part of the school. So you just need to know that that's what my school is about. And grievance policy, this is the one that's complicated. Like, what if something goes wrong? What do you do about it? How to report it? and what kind of information you need to
What
report.
kind of grievance are we talking about here?
Oh, like if there's a sexual misconduct.
Oh,
Like let's say one of your teachers one of your students complains about one of your teachers. They need to create a report. And this tells what the information they need to include, sanctions, what am I going to do about it? These are the different options, either do nothing, a warning, or timeout, or suspension, dismissal, depending on what it is. And then refund policy, that doesn't relate to us because we're already past that. And then retaliation is basically there's not to be any retaliation against anyone who reports any kind of grievance. And that's it.
but you know what?
Mhm.
I also in the studio, I have declared some of the students to be persona non grata. That I told them that you cannot join my class, you cannot attend classes in the studio anymore because of their behavior in classes.
Okay.
You know, so there are certain behavior that the student must also observe. It's not only that from the perspective of the studio or the teachers.
Okay.
You also demand certain behavior from the students. If they misbehave, I will ban them from coming back, and I will give their money back. But don't come back here anymore because you're persona non grata.
Oh, well, that's I've never heard of that, but I respect that.
Yeah, like one time we have after the class, because of some students are getting to know each other. Sometimes after the class, after the shavasana, they get to socialize. So how are you been? They tell stories. They share their stories. One time there is a student who is a professor at UP who was still sitting down, and we didn't know that she was meditating or something. She suddenly stood up and then uh, berated us for being so noisy. And then she stepped out of the room. The next time she came back, I told the staff not to take her money, just to send her away. I don't want her to be here. The other one I also banned is when we had the shooting with CNN that they're featuring the studio. I already told them that if you want to come, you're going to we have a shooting, and you put it on our group messenger to signify that you're going to join the class, and it will be a shooting for a CNN show about our studio. So they all came. They signed up and they came. One student who is a lawyer. Uh, After the class, after the shooting, the CNN gave us a form for us to fill about a release form that they can use the video that they took for whatever purpose they will serve them. So when she was being asked to sign formally, she started raising hell. But she was participating in the class. She knows it's a shooting.
Mm.
So after that incident, your shameful act is not acceptable in this studio. So don't come back anymore.
Okay.
Huh? You know, I don't believe in the customer is always right. I don't believe.
Yeah.
To me, the
Yeah.
customer, if he is right or she is right, if she is right.
Yeah.
But it's my judgment call.
Yeah.
Maybe I have banned quite a number already from the studio.
Okay.
They feel so entitled. People who are in the Philippines, when they have some social status, they feel they're so entitled that.
Yeah. I respect that because that could make for not a very good yoga atmosphere if there's some entitlement going on. So, yeah. Okay, good. Let's see. What's my next point of discussion? Okay, so what time is it? 5:17. Okay, so
Even send out in one of my class, I asked one of the students to get out right in the middle of the class. Or before the start of the class. Amy,
mm,
it's really bold, huh? Because
that's
there are certain arrangement or spacing of the mat. And she wants to, occupy this space, and she wants a bigger space for herself. And we're already following the 2 meter rule, that each side will have 2 meters. And she insists, because she's a member of the club. I don't fucking care if you're a member of the club. You still have to follow the rules. your privileges will depend on what kind of privilege I will give you. It is not you who will dictate your privilege to me. It is me who will dictate that. So get out. So that's how I do it. They have to at least fear the studio that there is there's some behavior that you have to observe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't belong here. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I remember those things.
Okay. All right. Don't misbehave in his class.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's go on to talking about teaching meditation.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
interesting.
yeah, so your question was how to teach just meditation, right?
Mhm.
So how do you structure maybe a workshop or a regular meditation class? Um, I have a link I'm going to send you guys with this recording to a discussion that was led by John Kabat-Zinn about that. Teaching
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's about 45 minutes long and it's very interesting because he gets very deep into the experience of mindfulness and what does it really mean. So one thing that I took away from it is it's not something that you're doing, it's something that you're being. And it's not even something that you're being, it's something that you are. So you kind of have to peel back these layers because when we talk about it, it's it's trying to describe something like the taste of a strawberry. It's really difficult. But if you practice meditation, then you're more than halfway there because you have to experience it in order to share it. So based on your own experience, based on your own um, understanding on a personal level of what it is to be in that state of mindfulness, in the state of awareness, that's what's going to give you the motivation to want to share it with other people because of the benefits that you feel from it. So for example, Kyla, you talked about that expansive feeling that you got and how you enjoyed it. You were very happy about it. You were glowing when you were describing it, right? So how would you share that? How would you lead other people into that experience? That's a puzzle, right? That's a big question. And I don't have the answer because that's going to be your path. And the eight limb yoga path is one of the ways. That's one of the proven and used for thousands of years that can lead people to that. Does it always lead people to that? We don't always know. I could have a class of 12 people and I don't know if they've experienced samadhi or not. They may feel good after class. Their body feels good. They feel calm. They've worked out some stress. They've worked out some tension. Have they become more mindful? Have they deepened their awareness? Maybe, maybe not, but I won't really immediately know that unless so I feel like the eight limb path in our application as teach yoga to wanting to teach yoga, that works. I feel it works really well. It does unify the class. It helps them to have an experience that is shared and that is positive and that is peaceful. So that's what I would recommend. Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. That's what I would recommend. Yamas and niyamas, of course, are the first two. And that's the structure that we follow in a regular yoga class. So when we're talking about teaching meditation by itself, you're going to have to assume certain things. First of all, you're going to have to assume that whatever position they're meditating in, whether it's sitting or laying down or in a chair or on the floor, is that they're comfortable. So that's number one, because the body will distract you if it's not feeling good. So if you have a group of students, like for example, you, Kyla, if you wanted to teach meditation to your children in your class, which is becoming more and more a practice.
I have tried.
How's it go? Are they too wiggly?
Well, I've tried it a few times, and it is something that I incorporate. It depends. Sometimes I do it when I'm like, okay, we're a little restless, and I'll let them shake out as much energy as they can get out for 20 seconds, and then we'll try to do. Really, we're doing more like breathing, like more pranayama, and then I have tried to take them through some guided meditations. Some little fun ones. So,
Good. That's good.
but they are really wiggly. They're
Yeah.
very.
That's okay.
I tried doing a body scan with them. I had them all on the carpet, and they would just like I could see them like opening their eyes. I was like, if you can see me, you're not closing your eyes.
Yeah, it might be trial and error. Like
Oh.
what's going to work? Maybe counting,
Mhm.
maybe yeah, some kind of other mental activity may work. It's hard to say, but I have seen other teachers report good things.
Yeah, I
And
did find this video.
maybe
That
they're too little. Maybe it
Yeah.
just doesn't happen for them until they're a little bit older.
One video did work though, that I liked, because it is a little bit of visualization but also breathing. It was like, was it called rainbow breathing? But basically, like, your hands are like you're painting a rainbow. So you inhale, and that's like the red, and then you exhale, and it's still the
Ooh.
red. And then you inhale, it's the orange, and then you exhale, and it's still the
Ah.
so you go through the colors of the rainbow. And so, you're breathing in with your hands up, and then exhaling down. They like that one. They sometimes request, we want to do the rainbow.
So maybe that one works. So it's movement, it's breath, and it's focusing their mind,
Yeah.
right? So maybe over time, if you do it consistently, maybe they'll get to the point where they can have a few seconds of silence, where they can just be in that quiet state.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just be aware of the moment. So that's excellent. So for your population, Manny, we already talked about managing the emotions that can come out. I don't know if talking about awareness would help, or if would what's your experience of meditation? What does it mean for you?
Maybe I have to separate my self practice to the perception of people on meditation, because this country is populated by very prayerful people.
Mhm.
They think that prayer is more powerful than meditation, and there is a big misconception on that. Even in our churches, they discourage, even in some born again Christians, they don't like meditation because you are going to steal your mind and the devil might come in, stuff like that. So there is a big issue about
So it sounds
meditation.
like you need that's a matter of education, of kind
What
of
I do is
start.
introduce meditation through asanas.
Right.
And after that is, so I'm focusing more on self-study among the 10 yama niyama. So I think I'm an expert now on self-study on Swadhyaya, because
Uh-huh.
I think that's the way they can focus in a way disguising it as a meditation, the self-study. So
Oh,
learning
I see.
about their body, what works for them, what didn't work, what are their discoveries, what are the, you know, but teaching them the meditation, it's a little bit challenging.
So
Oh,
it feels
really
like
challenging.
maybe since prayer is so important to them, I
Yeah,
pray.
I have a friend who is also a bishop of your order of the Mormons. They don't like yoga. They don't like
Oh,
meditation.
okay.
Have you talked to your bishop?
Huh? Yeah, I have a bishop. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend who is a bishop. He's now
Okay.
here in the Philippines. And he's taking care of the big temple of the Mormons here in Metro Manila in Quezon City.
Oh,
It's a big one.
okay.
And I was telling him, it's not a policy? He thinks so.
No, it's not. That's a personal choice. It's not a policy. Hold on just a second. Okay, no, it's not a policy of our church to avoid meditation. In fact, there are our apostles teach us to meditate on, but to meditate on scripture or to meditate on God or, meditate with a purpose, I guess you could say, but meditate on eternal truths. So we have, I guess you could say we have an objective to meditate or we have something to meditate about. So maybe what is scary for your population is the emptiness, meditating on nothing, or even the
There is,
misconception that meditation is emptying your mind, because
which is not. It is not.
that is not. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe for you, it's a matter of educating and change, maybe trying to change the understanding of what it means. And um just because they're Christian, it doesn't mean that it's well, here, I'll show you. Hold on. Hi, Aaron. So I just bought this book, these books. It's actually two books. And it's The Second Coming of Christ, The Resurrection of the Christ Within You, a revelatory commentary on the original teachings of Jesus. And this is by Paramahansana Yogananda, who's one of the early yogis who came to America. And he has the Self-Realization Fellowship. So it was founded in 1920.
Yeah,
So,
Yogananda. I'm
yeah,
familiar with that guy. Yeah.
yeah, so I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited to read it. So there is a way to fuse Christianity with yoga. I
First,
don't have the answer. I don't
I
have the,
don't like to disappoint you, but I really don't have any. I don't believe in Christianity. I don't believe in. I don't believe that.
oh, okay.
So to me, I'm non-sectarian. I just want them to understand themselves through meditation, but not go to the spiritual level. And when I try to do that,
Mm.
using the breath uh, as a way of focusing towards pratyahara, meaning concentration, uh, you know, withdrawal of senses.
Mhm.
That's the only thing I did. And at that point, they reacted so as if I'm their father confessor.
Mhm. Well,
So
that's just my suggestion that if that is their fear, and so pratyahara is withdrawal from the senses, right?
yeah,
And it's to remove distractions so that you can be present inside of
yeah.
yourself.
That's
So
the bridge towards meditation. That's the
yeah,
bridge.
and it's very basic. It's very simple.
Yeah.
I feel like prayer is actually an advanced meditation.
Mhm.
I don't feel like it's like meditation takes precedence over prayer. I feel like meditation is the doorway to prayer. So
One devout Catholic even berated me for saying that your rosary is just like the mantra of when you keep on saying
a
Holy
mantra.
Hail Marys. That's a
Yeah,
mantra.
it is a
Uh,
mantra. Yeah, that's true.
and they berated me for saying that. They don't compare that.
Oh, yeah.
The Philippines is the bulwark of Catholicism in the world, not only in
Mm.
Asia, in the world.
Mhm. Okay, well, I don't know how to help you, Manny.
Yeah, that's why I
I would
want to
say,
share those
I would
I
say
was
work
sharing
work them hard in the asanas, and then they're too tired to think of anything else. That's
yeah.
what I would
That's
say.
the way I do it. Do asanas and self-study.
They're too tired to think of anything else, and so they're going to be just still.
Even the teachers here are not trained to handle meditation. The teachers in the teachers training courses here,
Mhm.
they are taught to meditate, but they are not taught to teach meditation.
Yeah, well, that's you have to watch that video by Kabat-Zinn because he kind of breaks that apart. That there's
Yeah, it's good.
yeah. Go
It's good.
ahead.
I've
Go ahead,
seen it.
Kyla.
It's good.
Kyla, go.
Well, well, one thing I have to say is that I feel like you have to want it to have it. And so if you're not in the space, you could have the best, what is it? What did we call it when it was what is guided meditation called that you were
Guided meditation. What do you mean?
there was another word that we
Imagery?
not image I don't know the word,
Okay.
but you could guide someone through the best, meditation, but if you're not, because even I've tried meditating before. It doesn't always work, you know. Sometimes I just can't get my mind still, or I just can't I can't let go. I can't detach. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe I don't really maybe I'm not. Maybe one thing that worked one day doesn't work another day. And so I do feel like, what Manny is saying definitely is something, in their own self-study. It's something they have to want,
Yeah.
They have to they have to seek it, even if you are really, experienced in guiding and, teaching meditation. I think that and what you're saying, Tita, is like, you have to what is it? You have to do it. You're like halfway there once you do it, to teaching it because you kind of can't just make someone meditate, So it's kind of like it's a group effort, even if you do learn how to teach meditation, you know,
It's about
even like my kids, I
uh-huh.
can't make them meditate, no matter how well I try to get them there. There's maybe their part of it is like it's like a team effort. I can only get them so
So
far.
far. Yes. True.
As the teacher, I can only get them to a certain point,
Yeah.
and then the rest is just like, you gotta let them go.
Yeah. Good point. Really good point.
Yeah,
Something that
yeah.
I always tell the trainees is that our job is really just to lead them to the door and they have to want to walk through it.
Yeah.
But all you can do is create the environment. You can be the example. You can share your energy, your feeling of peace, your state of mindfulness, your presence. And if they walk through that door, that's really just up to them. You just bring them to the door. So, good. Yeah, really, really good point. And in fact, one of the things that Kabat-Zinn says is that if you're trying to teach somebody to meditate, don't stop right there. That is actually not something that's not the way is to do that. And when I've seen videos of kids who have been taught meditation, they have said how amazing it is and how but how much they like it. So all it takes is for them to have a taste. If maybe by some chance one or two or three or four or five of your students find that moment where they, oh, then they'll have a taste of it. And that's really what you hope for. That's what we all hope for in the classes that we teach. So, yeah. So a couple of things that he said that I thought were really worthwhile for me to share with you, and you can listen, watch the video yourself, is awareness. Awareness is being in the present. That is the activity, or that is the state. Oh, it's even hard to explain it. He does it so much better than me. But one of the things he says that helped me to understand it was he said, he asked the audience, is anybody here depressed? And, some of people raised their hand, and he said, now be aware of being depressed. Is the you that's aware of the depression depressed? Is that? And then he said, okay, now any of you anxious? Do you have any anxiety? And some of them raised their hand. Now, be aware of anxiety. In that awareness is their anxiety. In the awareness of the depression is their depression. In the awareness of the anxiety is their anxiety. So basically, you've taken yourself a step back away from that depression or that anxiety, and you reside in the awareness of it. Because in the awareness of it, its power has just gone down. Its power over you has just gone down. So that awareness is really the tool. And you remember that from the book by Thich Nhat Hanh. You touch the door of awareness, or you invite awareness into the room of the anger, of the pain, of the hurt, of the whatever emotion you're faced with. Bring awareness into the room and let that dissipate it or
Excellent.
cancel it, or give you the space to know that it's there for one thing, so you can face it and hopefully understand it, or understand yourself, or understand what you need to do about it. Right? So for example, I was just watched this today, and I was just realizing how I feel today because of my mom, as she's declined one more step. She's eating less, sleeping more. So I'm stressed about it because it's a new stage. And I know this stage was going to happen. I know it was going to come. I just didn't know when. And so it's a new experience, and I'm stressed and I feel it. And then I had to be aware of that and accept it, and accept the fact, yes, she's one step lower. So I have to accept it and be in it. And then I can go forward. Okay, what do I need to do? Well, I want to focus on helping her be as comfortable as possible. And I can do that. But there was a lot of other stuff coming in. Fear, sorrow, loss, lots of fear. And so there's all this other stuff coming in, and it was uncomfortable, right? Which is normal. But with that awareness, at least I can focus, and I know what to do. I just want to make her comfortable. So now I have a plan. So yeah, so another thing that John Kabat-Zinn said is that life is the meditation, that life happens to you. And that's where it's a constant practice of awareness and mindfulness. And what else was this one thing that I wanted to say? Oh, he said, sometimes we always say, I'm breathing, right? Are you really breathing? Are you consciously? You're not. Because if you were the one breathing, you would have stopped breathing a long time ago, because there's so many other things you're doing. But breathing is happening without you. You are being breathed. And life is like that. And so you just be present in it, and you have the awareness that it's happening. And that's the meditation, or that's the practice of meditation. That's the skill that you're trying to develop. So, any other thoughts you want to
Very
share?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'll do more meditation. I'll make it a point. Because
Yeah.
to me, meditation is intermittent. I do not, if I don't feel like it, I don't. But if I like it, yeah, see, maybe I will do more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's take a little, I'll lead you guys, but let's take a little 5-minute break, and then we'll have some meditation. Good? All right.
Yep.
All right. Let me
Just meditation.
just meditation. We might stretch
Okay.
a little bit, but yeah, we're just going to meditate.
Okay. Well, are we gonna stretch or?
I mean, it
Then I
won't.
have to set up my.
Huh?
Should I set up my area? Should I set up my area or should I
You know
not?
what? Let's not. Let's take it away from the yoga environment
Okay, I'll
for this
do
time
it where
around.
I'm at.
Yeah, let's just do it where you're at,
Okay.
so that we can experience that.
Okay. See you in 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay.